for our diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name is Dion Miller, and I am your host today. Welcome back. We've had a long time since our last podcast, and we're getting back into the groove of things. You can anticipate a lot more speakers coming up, but what I wanted to do was really start my new season off with a bang. And so I reached out to Dru Hicks, who I've been following for a few years now. I love a lot of what he has to say. I love the way he expresses things and just the honesty that's there. I can tell that you put in a lot of time and a lot of work in order to get where you're at. And I think we need to hear about it so that other people understand. So, Dru, thank you very much for coming on, man.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about men in recovery, what it's like being a man in recovery, growing up, what it was like. And of course, what we need to do. So, some of the processes that we go through as men in recovery, because there were times when, I just felt weak, and I was wrong on that. So we wanted to come on here and let you know what it's really like on that. So let's go ahead and get going. What was it like growing up for you, Dru?
Oh man, well, honestly, brother, I was born into chaos. I was born into a very actively drug addicted mother and an alcoholic father. I was part of the whole generational curse thing. So it was I was born into violence, drug abuse, just the lifestyle that a lot of brothers and sisters who might be listening tonight or whoever when they listen might have been born in themselves. So, it was it was very abusive. I was born into abuse. That's just, so it wasn't very pleasant, but it was, for me, being born into that, I thought that was just how everybody's life was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at myself like I believed that every other child was going through the same things at home. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that it was anything out of what we all didn't go through. So it wasn't. Yeah. I only after I grew up and realized that what I endured was something that was not typically normal. Yeah. Did I kind of be able to differentiate the differences between what was good, what was bad? But growing up was very chaotic for me and very violent, very abusive. But then, I was taken and removed from that situation, and I was later on adopted by an amazing family. So then again, at a young age, about the age of 8, I got to experience what a beautiful family was. Yeah. Okay. What loving, what nurturing, and all the stuff that we wanted, that we needed growing up, needed. So it was just, my life has been very much, I describe my life as a pinball machine. I was all over the place. So,
well, and growing up, so I was a little different. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad had a very bad anger problem. And that's where I learned how to deal. And that's how I learned how to deal with things was, I was taught that if I got angry, I would get what I want because that's what my dad did. If you wanted somebody to listen to you in the house, you punched a hole in the wall. Right. That's how we got, that was how we communicated. And I thought that's how it worked. So when my mom got sober and people started to get healthy and I didn't, I stuck in that anger problem because I didn't know what else to do with it.
That's right.
So I took it out on my family and there again, kind of the same thing happened to me. And my parents put me in a group home at 14 because they didn't know how to deal with me. Right. And, I think we kind of go through the things where, I look back on my parents. I think they did the best that they could. I mean, you do need to get to a point where you got to stop blaming your parents for who you are and stand up and say, I am me because I'm me.
Absolutely agree. 100%. for me, I wholeheartedly believe what you said in the fact that I was growing up in thinking that men didn't show emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't cry. We just rub a little dirt, little salt in it, and we keep moving. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't really given a platform or the ability to express how I was feeling. Okay. Yeah. I was like any other man or any other drug addict. I bottled stuff in. I just kept burying things, you know, I never understood the process of actually dealing with emotion. Okay. Yeah. And I think a lot of the reason why I became led into drug addiction was because of that simple concept of what I just said. I was never really, feelings were scary to me. Okay. Yeah. They were something that I wasn't typically normal in being able to how to express them, talk about them. Again, you know, as men, I think a lot of men, and I think this has been going on since the beginning of the human race, is that men you know, we don't cry, you know, we don't show emotion. We just keep it moving. The crying and the emotional part, that's for the women, right? Mm-hmm. We over here, when we got to suck it up. You know, I heard that so much growing up. Yeah. Suck it up.
Suck it up. Yep.
You know,
walk it off. Get over it. What's your problem now?
I hated that one about get over it.
Yeah.
Really? How?
Yeah, exactly. I would be happy to get over it, but I don't know how. And that can be really confusing too, because maybe one day you do finally share your emotions and it turns into a bad thing. And, you know, because your family doesn't want to hear it. I don't know how many times I remember once I was over at a friend's house and I was watching, it was some ballet dancing. I thought it was really cool. I was like 7. I went back home and I told my parents, I want to be a ballet dancer. And they laughed at me. And of course, I didn't understand then why they were laughing at me. That hurt my feelings. I was like, and of course, I'm not allowed to, you know, so I just went outside and played or whatever. But I grew up in an era where kids were seen, not heard.
Absolutely. Me too. I grew up in the same era. Absolutely.
Grew up in the tough love era. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I will be 49 this year.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're a Gen Xer. You're on. So that's probably why we're agreeing on a lot of this, because we Gen Xers, I think we're a little bit ahead. I think we kind of got like the best of the boomers and the millennials. We don't get into those arguments and stuff with everybody. And,
we don't.
And I am proud of our generation because the men are starting to get over that emotional hump. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, but you're right. You know, being part of this generation, you know, because I talked to a lot of people that I went to school with, that I grew up with, you know, that themselves who struggle with addiction, who are now clean and sober today. You know, we talk about the time that we grew up, you know, yes, a lot of our parents grew up in that stern coldness, you know, the family business stays with family. You don't talk about, you know, this, you don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But then again, with the millennials behind us, that came in behind us, you know, there's, you know, who I believe sometimes can be a little bit too sensitive, because I grew up in an era where you weren't that sensitive. But you know, we're like right in the middle of it, you know. But But my thing with the net today is that I know the truth and I know what works for Dru. Okay, and only when I truly started to express what was going on inside my mind and my heart did anything ever good happen for my life. Okay, so I don't get me wrong, brother. I don't go bawling and crying in front of strangers but I believe when a man can be tough, both tough and tender, those are the real superheroes this world needs, you know.
Absolutely.
To be able to show, you know, and that's what makes us good fathers today to our children. You know, I'm a father of daughters, okay? And now with me marrying my wife, I inherited some sons, right? Okay. So, and now I was always told that you raise in your sons and your daughters differently. And I was like, why and how? And until now I realize why and how. Okay.
Yeah.
Now your daughters, you typically want to keep close to you, right?
Yep.
But your sons, your sons, you like push out in the world, go get them, you know? But I just know with being, I just celebrated 6 years clean and sober, you know, in the last 6 years. Well, thank you so much. The last 6 years of my life has truly been the years that I truly started living life. Okay. Getting more clarity on things, understanding things, soaking everything. I blew off 30 years of my life in an active addiction. And I didn't know when I came into recovery, I didn't truly know how to live. I didn't know any coping skills. I didn't know how to. So, you know, I've put in the work the last 6 years, you know, and I'm able to be a man of honesty and integrity. Now I gotta throw this in here. I haven't always been that man, even in recovery.
Sure. Okay.
I've made a vast amount of mistakes. And believe me, there's a lot of Dru Hicks haters out there that will tell you about my mistakes. Okay. I'll be the first one to let you know. Yes, I did that. But you know what? A huge part of life and a huge part of recovery is identifying where you went wrong and push yourself into growth. Okay. And I have grown in areas far past my own comprehension, and just in the last 2 years. Yeah. You know, being able to be the faithful husband to my wife when I wasn't so faithful in past years. Okay. You know, holding the woman that I call wife, you know, and that's who's sitting next to me as an equal. Okay. And not believing that I'm superior because I'm the man. Okay. Correct. And so it's just a lot of eye-opening things and scenarios. And I think, you know, as long as we're willing to be present and show up, that we're gonna learn it, you know. But if we keep ourselves, you know, in the same way of thinking that we did when we were sick, it's never gonna happen. You know, you got to be willing to get vulnerable. You got to be willing to step into something that you never. That's scary. It's truthfully, it's scary. You know.
Yeah. And that's it. I think you hit it right on the button or nail, whatever we want to call it. Vulnerable, man. We get into this program, especially on that third step, that I see more men have problem with the third step because we are just not willing to let it go. No. And I always felt like, I'm like, if I let it go, I'm just a weak fuck, man. And that's what went through my mind. I'm a pretty intelligent guy. I've been in therapy since I was, 13, and I was absolutely wrong. I was absolutely wrong on that whole concept. And it's one of those things where I'm happy I was wrong, because I've become a much better person. I can't believe the amount of courage that I actually have now. Some of the things that I do now, I couldn't do before. And that has to do with my faith in God and being vulnerable to other people.
Absolutely agree. And, the first 3 steps were hard for me, because it was like, I was always told, never retreat, never surrender. Yeah. Okay. And as a man, that's what I was always, men don't retreat, we don't surrender. So when, the very first step's talking about, I got to surrender this, and I always thought that surrendering was showing a sign of weakness. Okay. And as a man, I had a problem with being weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big problem.
Huge problem with it. It was one of the biggest obstacles that me and my sponsor had to get through in order to get me through those first 3 steps was, come on, man. He said, you will never, I remember vividly what he told me. He's like, you will never show more strength than until you wave that flag, that white flag, And so, but I never understood it. Now today, being, 6 years into this, I see it now. I know what he meant by it. It was like, it's that false pride that we carry with us as men.
Absolutely.
We're so full of bullshit, that we identify ourselves with that bullshit. That's why it's so hard for us to relinquish it. Yeah. We built an identity around being this tough ride or die, thuggy, the lifestyle image that we portrayed ourselves to be, that when we come into recovery, a lot of us built an identity around that. So letting it go, we don't even know who we are.
Yeah. and those are rooted around some very deep emotions like anger, resentment, failure. Man, you don't fail as a man. And if you do, then you know, if you ain't going to do something right the first time, don't do it at all. There's a lot of mandates on us that are just, I find, unacceptable anymore. I use the joke, if you want to see me clear a room, I'll share my emotions. Just watch. People get very uncomfortable when men start sharing their true emotions. And I know that, my anger was huge around that. Show me a man, I'll show you an anger problem. It's in there. And it usually has to do with that self-pride, that false pride that we're telling ourselves. That a man's supposed to be tough and he's supposed to be... You can't be all of those all the time. I tell you now, my wife doesn't always want me tough. She doesn't want me that way all the time.
No.
I have a very big heart. I love to give. I'm very empathetic, so I feel other people's emotions pretty easy. So I'm one of those guys where I don't mind sharing my feelings at all. Because now I've gotten to a point where I'm okay with me. Because
that's right.
Over the last 6 years, I've done a lot of work and self-realization, like you were talking about, that did I fuck up in recovery? You bet your ass I have. Thank God for the 10th step, because then it gives me a chance to be human, man. So I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break too. We men deserve peace. We deserve serenity just like everybody else. And we certainly deserve to be loved and happy. Absolutely
agree. And I think more often than not, being as man, we're more hard on ourselves than a lot of people are hard on us.
Good point.
Truth be told, for me, I mean, I only speak from my own personal experiences that I didn't need the world to be hard on me. I was doing plenty of that for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was always my biggest downfall. I was this king of self-sabotage. My life would be going okay and I would do something deliberate to screw it up. I mean, I've always been in my way. My whole life, Dru has always been in Dru's way. It's never been, he's in my way or she's in my way or whatever's in the way. It's more often than not, it's been me being in my own way. With the program that you and I both work, we're introduced to a higher power, right? For me, I call that higher power God. And so with bringing that, with my faith in God, my faith program, God program together, worked for me, and it gave me what I needed as a man. It's like I was a very broken child. Okay. As a little boy, I was physically and sexually abused.
Okay.
And when that happens at a young age, that takes something away from you.
You
don't even know what it took away from you because you're so young. It happened to me at a very young age. So, but I knew something about me was different from that moment forward. Okay. I knew that for me personally gave me the shut off. I always call it the shut off valve. Okay. I'm shut off, right? Yeah. I'm shut off from the world. I'm shut off from my emotions. I was literally like emotions over here, Dru's over here. Okay. Yeah. I could shut it off like a valve. I could. I was like, it took away my emotional, spiritual, mental ability to grow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It stunted you.
Absolutely. And in every aspect it did. Okay. But then again, as the drug addict, as an adult, I learned that even though that we've been through this abuse as men, okay, when we get to a certain maturity or age level, we're now responsible for our emotional well-being.
That's it.
We are responsible for our healing. The trauma may not have been my fault at that age, and it wasn't. Correct. I was a child, but the healing from it is 100% Dru's responsibility.
That's right.
It's going to be Dru's job to get Dru where he needs to get. If that means bringing in God, bringing in a spiritual program, then then that's what I have to do. Okay, it's not your job to heal me.
That's right.
It's my job.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to hear that was true, though, was my own happiness is going to come from within. It doesn't come from anywhere else. And I have to be responsible for my emotions. Now, somebody may come along and tick me off or whatever, but what I do with that is what matters. I still have the emotions. It's what I do. Before I would just be a dick. I'd just be a dick back. No problem. I can handle that. But when it turned around to, I hope that person's okay. What's going on over there that I might be able to help? You know, I've already been able to take my anger and whatever else, put it aside to take a look at something else here, which is that there's a human being in front, one of God's children in front of me that's hurting. And I feel like I could probably do something about it. And that's the difference now. I don't react to that. I would rather, it's like I don't fight stigma. I think that's crazy. I'm not going to argue with people, but I will educate on stigma, but I ain't going to fight about it.
Right. A lot of the, personally, brother, from my maturity as a growing, through recovery and, being a man was learning how to communicate authentically. Okay. Yeah. From where I stand personally, where I'm at. Okay. Letting either my wife, my coworkers, my children, my mom, my siblings, my community, wherever I'm at, I'm able to express where I'm at. And I've realized that it's okay to not be okay. Yeah. It's okay to be, even because here we go again, back to how we were raised, we didn't talk about it. Okay. Now I'm able to know that, hey, I can address that. Hey, I'm not okay today. Okay. Yeah. And healthy communication, there's no words for that today, honestly. Yeah. Being able, and not only just communication, but comprehension. Okay. Yeah. If I don't understand what you're talking about, then the communication's pretty much null and void too. Okay. Correct. As long as, if I understand what you're telling me, I can kind of work it up in my brain. Okay. I get where you're at, but then the communication is amazing.
It is.
There's no more because I know I've seen my whole life, I've been unnecessary arguments with a woman, my children, my mom, because of my lack of comprehension to what they even were talking about. Okay. Yeah. So, but I've learned that there's being open-minded as a man. Yeah.
And being okay with being naive. I think that was one of my problems too, is you brought up a topic, I don't know it, now I feel stupid, I'm going to get mad. When I need to go, instead I could just ask pertinent questions. Why don't you teach me about that? Let me know about it. Yeah, what does that mean? I've been doing all this since 1989. I'm still learning what all this stuff is. I'm always learning. It's just another day. But I really heard you on that on having effective, good communication. My wife and I are a great example. We get along. We have a fantastic relationship. Now, granted, we've been through a lot, things like that. But now, if she has a problem, she can come up to me and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," and the outcome will be, "Okay, I hear what it is that you're saying. I will work on that." Because it's not my job to make my wife feel less or pick on her. Sometimes she doesn't like when I pick on her. I think I'm amusing, but she doesn't. So.
My wife's the same way. I think though, as men though, brother, when we can, because majority of my life, I'll be honest, I never really looked at women as my equal.
Yeah, me either. Okay?
I never really looked at them as, when we can get to that point where we know, and we without certainty, we know that they are every bit our equal, because they are. Okay. In fact, they do a lot more than, they do a lot, as a whole, men are babies. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
I am the biggest baby in the world, bro. I really am. My wife does things that I couldn't imagine being.
Couldn't imagine. Yeah.
So, when I realized that she's my equal, my equal, it kind of opened up a whole new playing field for me. but that's a lot of the spiritual work that I've done for all myself. If you're not willing to put in the work, you got to tell yourself, you got to know that your life's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
And things aren't going to change. A lot of people get really, I don't know if they want to say annoyed or angry or upset. Some of the things that I share in my live videos is because, well, it's easy for you. It wasn't always easy for me,
it wasn't.
man. Oh my God, it wasn't easy for me. I had to learn this, and a lot of the living life as men or who, regardless of who it is falling on your face. Yeah. Okay. So
in front of everybody.
And believe me, Dru Hicks is famous for that. Okay. And but I didn't become successful in a day, a week, a month, a year. It's taken me years to do this and to figure it out and develop a formula that's going to work for Dru. Yeah. Okay. And because I can promise you, your formula that you work in your life ain't going to work for Dru.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but as long as men that we're leading by example, regardless of the formula we're working, I think that those are the real superheroes the world needs today. I grew up in an era, when I was adopted by the amazing family I told you, where the man was the leader of the family. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping to God because I'm leading my family in the right direction. Okay. My daughters, my now sons, my wife, that I'm putting in, of course, God's a big part of my life. So I live my life, lead my family in what I believe God wants me to do. Okay. Yes. And everybody has their own way of leading their family, but that's how it works for me and the Hicks household. Okay. Yeah. And it seems to be working really well. I've learned to get out of Dru's way, and apply the spiritual principles that are in the program that you and I work, and and work these steps and traditions, and just allow life to be what it is. Yeah.
Well, in those lives and things that we do, what we've done is we've created an arena for ourselves for an appropriate place for us to share those things. And if I was getting on for popularity, I wouldn't be doing the topic of recovery. Because I've had a lot of jobs, including sales, and I've been treated worse in this field than any other field I've ever been in. Right. But the thing is, I get a lot of things. I understand things. Like my group, my group is, if you have something in recovery and you want to share it in my group, go for it, man. That's fine. Whether you talk to me or not, it doesn't matter because it's a we thing. It's not a me thing. And I go live every single day and do a daily reflections. I've done that for over 3 years now. And I get 4 or 5 people, it's not like it's massive, but the goal is to help one person a day. And if that's what I'm doing, then that's where God has me. And that's okay.
Right. Well, I think as men, as a lot of us men, I don't want to say all of us men because maybe some don't, but I struggle with ego. Okay. Ego is a big, and competitiveness, I'm going to one up that guy. I'm going to one up that brother. I'm going to one up him. I was always the guy that always tried to one up the next man. Okay. I'll show you, I'll do it just a little bit better, and my ego, I was ego driven. The majority of my life, I was ego driven, and I just I laugh about it now is because how in the hell, I look at my life and say, how in the hell could you even be egotistical? You were a shit show, Dru. You didn't have nothing. You didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. You had the gall to be egotistical. Yeah. But I absolutely was, and I think struggling with that ego. When we struggle with ego, we don't want to reach back and say, "Hey, brother, here's a helping hand," or "Hey, here's a suggestion," or "Here," because when we're ego driven, screw you, it's all about me.
It's all about me. Yeah.
I'm not even worried about what you're going through, but it's all about me. And so,
it doesn't affect me, so what do I care?
Right.
And we need to getting away from that kind of an attitude. And that's the difference now, where before I would use somebody to step up. Now I bring them up with me. You know, if
absolutely.
I'm moving forward and my wife isn't, I'm probably going to stop for a little bit till she catches up, you know, and just having, you know, respect for the people around me, you know, like you were saying, everybody's recovery is different and we need to allow people to have that.
Right.
You know, some people say that relapse is not part of recovery. Some people say it is. I think your recovery is your recovery, man. And what it looks like is up to you. But what it comes down to is if you don't do the work, nothing's going to change. No change, no change.
It's really simple, you know. As the recovering addict, we kind of make things a little bit more complicated, or a lot more complicated than it has to be. You know, it's simple, like you just said. Change is change. Change doesn't mean stay the same. Okay, that's the whole insanity definition. Okay, you know, it's like change is vulnerability. Okay, change is uncertain. Change is scary. There's a lot of fear involved in change because we've been this guy or this man for so long, right? So building something, because I got clean at 42. Okay, later on, I was a middle-aged man, you know, and so to start over at 42 was a really tough pill for me to swallow. I struggled with that for a long time, you know, because I realized at 42 you're supposed to have started having some college fund for your kids. You're supposed to have a 401k. You're supposed to have some IRAs, some stocks and bonds.
My friends are putting stuff away for retirement. I'm like, I hear you. I feel left behind. I still feel like I'm, 18, 19 years old on that because I'm so far behind on it. I hear that. But that's room to grow, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And there's always room to grow.
Oh, heck yeah.
You know, as long as we're remaining teachable, and that we don't know it all, there's always room to grow. We can always grow. We all have a vast amount of character defects and shortcomings. Okay. And we're never going to be able to rid ourselves of them all. Okay. Well, it's theirs right there. Oh, well, I can still grow in that area or this area or this area. And I think that's what makes us stronger as men. Is the willingness to grow, and to get a little bit, to show some sensitivity. I'm not crying like babies, but to show some sensitivity. You know, we have a problem with that being a sensitive thing. We
do, and I think that's kind of put it. And there again, I think it's the scary part. I wouldn't say every single situation I'm in, I'm okay with being sensitive, but for the most part, I'm pretty okay with sharing who I am and what I am because I'm no longer embarrassed about my past. I've taken my past and turned it into gold. Is it littered with a bunch of shit? Yeah, sure it is. But at the same time, I like who I am today, and all of that made me who I am. So I don't really regret it either.
I think as men, we kind of struggle with people holding our past against us, not just men, but I think men and women, but more so with the false pride of us as men, right? They're holding that. I tell people that because I travel around the world carrying a message of hope. So I meet a lot of people and I talk to a lot of brothers, especially the majority of my following is newcomers, right? Yeah. I consider 2 years and under newcomers. So, you can't hold my past. You're trying to hold something against me that made me who I am today.
Yeah.
It's almost idiotic when I think about it. And once you break it down like that, the brothers who struggle with people holding stuff against them, from the past, it's like this, man. They're trying to hold something against you that made you this beautiful soul that you are now. Yeah. Once you can speak that into a young man, it kind of makes them look at themselves. They're right, and it kind of you're able to dismiss it quicker. Yeah. Right. We live in a world where people will hold our past against us forever. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But you stop growing because of it. That's a choice that you're making.
Exactly. Yep.
Not just a choice.
That's it. It is always your choice, and you always have a choice. You do.
Brother, we had a choice when we were out there shooting dope. We always had a choice.
Yeah. It wasn't until we decided that enough was enough. I didn't want to live that life anymore. I was tired of it, man. Running around the streets looking for appreciation or a pat on the back from my other, that we search out sordid places for confirmation. That's us, man. And when we get in here, go ahead, man.
That's that validation. You know, that's that, and that's the thing, that the danger in social media. Okay, is because you make these posts or these videos or whatever you're doing, and you're getting these reactions, right? And that's and these comments of, oh, you're so amazing, you're doing such one, and that could come being that we struggle with in a very addictive personalities, that could be a whole nother monster. Okay, and that's I've had platforms with 400,000 and 500,000 followers. Okay, and when I struggled with it. I fell into it. It
would be tough, man.
It's a validation. I got so used to so many people from all over the world, thousands to hundreds of thousands of people. You're doing amazing. You're amazing, Drew. I love what you're doing. And then when it all gets taken from you, now it's this constant feeling of filling this void, right?
Yeah.
We go, because it's like, it's dangerous, right? And there's ego in it.
Yes. I've watched a lot of people come in and do this. The ones that scare me are the ones that just pop out of nowhere, that are all of a sudden just very popular. I've been doing this for a while, and you got to keep a lot of humility. You got to stay humble.
I've worked hard on humility.
Yeah, Drew's over there raising his hand. Yes,
I got it. That's one of my biggest things me and my sponsor have worked on. Being that I have large platforms on social media, is my humility. Because I remember the day vividly when I was sitting my last high, sitting on that toilet, doing my last shot of dope right here in the side of my neck. I remember, you have to always remember where you came from.
Yeah.
Okay. We all didn't come into recovery amazing, beautiful. We came in here a bunch of wrecks, a bunch of train wrecks, man.
Yeah.
It's just like, you remember where you came from. My sponsor told me, the day you forget your last one, it's probably not going to be your last one.
That's right. Yeah.
It's probably not your last one. I keep a constant reminder in my forefront of my brain, brother, of my last one. Because what? It's a reminder from where it is I was and where it is I never want to be again. And so, it's humility. I love that you said it. You said that word, because as men, we struggle with being humble.
We do. We're horrible at it. But I think it's practiced. It's one of those things where, kind of like, I'm a drummer. The more I practice drumming, the better I get at it. So I practice humility. Even before we came on here, hey, God, we're getting ready to do this. This is your show. Drew and I even talked about it a little bit. We're like, this is God's show, and it's the best way. We didn't plan any of this talk. This is all God, and from doing the work, So we're educated on this because, we do this for a living. We enjoy it. I absolutely love doing this. I love helping other people. I love watching them change their lives, man.
That's the reward, brother. That's the reward that we get, one addict helping another is without parallel, so, it's like, but the thing about it, that now that we're talking about the men topic, is that, ego will have you falling on your face. Okay. The ego trips, but the humble don't stumble. Right? It's just the ego trips, but the humble don't stumble. And that's the truth of it. I've posted that meme 1,000 times over the years, but when I post it, it's probably because I'm struggling with my humility. Yeah. Okay. And I got to remind myself of things all the time. Okay. Because I can very easily, not just me, but you or somebody else, we can very easily fall back and start slipping. Okay. Yeah. If we don't remember certain practices and principles and things that that got you and I where we're at now. Yeah. Okay. And that's when we fall into that complacency, and it's a dangerous place for people like you and me, to be complacent. When we stop moving our feet and we just sit and we procrastinate.
Well, we rest on our laurels. What we're doing is we're celebrating today's sobriety on yesterday's victory. And no, yesterday's gone. What are you doing today? It's a day at a time program. What are you doing right now today to make the world a better place? Because I
was always told that in recovery that the most important day of your life is the day you're breathing in.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Yeah. Right. So we can't change what we did. That's the thing. As men, we struggle with our past so much. Mm-hmm. Unless you got a time machine I don't know about, we can't go back there anyway.
Yeah.
It's in the past. It's a lesson learned, and you got to chalk it up as one. And today we have an opportunity to do something different, something better, and keep building and growing. And so it's ongoing process that I'm willing to show up to.
Yeah, and that's it. And the main thing that keeps coming up in this is willingness.
Oh, absolutely.
Be willing to give it a try. Give it 30 days. Give it 60 days. Give us a chance. If you don't like it, I'll let you go. I don't have a problem with that. But I at least want you to have a chance, because what we're talking about here is something that you've got to experience yourself. We can't explain it to you. And Dru and I are not people of few words, and we can't describe it to you. I can't. The best I could do is indescribably wonderful. Other than that, you're going to have to experience it yourself, so that it's the only way you're going to find out.
And you really can't knock it until you try it.
Yeah, that would be contempt prior.
That's definitely contempt prior. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, give it 30 days.
Yeah,
give it 60.
Nothing's going to change in that time.
If you don't like it after 90 days, the whole, for me in the beginning was 90 meetings in 90 days. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
There's no way in heck I'm going to 90 meetings. And I went to 110 meetings in 90 days.
Yeah.
So it was like, but I stuck around, and I kept showing up.
It was the last block on the house, and I didn't have anywhere else to go, man. It was the 12 steps or death. Those were my options.
I had exhausted every option life had. No. I had burned every bridge. I exhausted every option. I was the addict that was going to make the active addiction work. I was unique. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to make it work. But when I exhausted every single option that I could possibly think of, and I believe it in my heart and soul today, brother, is that when the pain hurts bad enough, you'll make a change.
You will. Mm-hmm.
You will make a change. You won't stay there any longer. You'll seek out the true solution.
Yeah. And so, all we're really even asking you here is you don't have to worry about God right now. You don't have to worry about humility, dealing with your feelings. Just be willing. That's it.
Yeah.
Throw some open-mindedness in there. Go to some meetings and listen for the similarities and not the differences. Do what you can to see how you're like other people, because you brought it up. We are not terminally unique, but we like to think we are.
And another thing I want to throw out there before we end this, brother, is that some of these listeners might be saying, until you want it, it's never going to work. Okay, but I kind of want to break that down for them, because you got to have the willingness before the want.
Yep.
Okay. And the reason why I say that is because coming into recovery, I had no idea what I wanted.
Exactly.
I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. So tell me I have to want. But what? All I knew is I had to be willing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it.
Once I knew, after the fact, once I was willing, I realized how much I truly did want it. After being, so you got to have the willingness before the want.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I like that. And with you saying that, that's why we haven't brought up honesty, guys, because you don't know how yet.
Right. No.
The first honest thing I said when I got into the program was, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And to this day, I still don't know. Because I'm enjoying this now. I'm coming up on 6 years in less than a month myself, and I'm enjoying this life, man. Thank you, dude. Is it what I thought it was going to be? No. Is it better? Yes.
It's a whole lot better.
And I
didn't give myself 30 days, bro. I thought I was gonna. I came into recovery through the process of drug court, right?
Okay.
And so, and part of me getting clean was me be living in a sober living community for the 11-month program that they offered.
Okay.
And I was like, man, 30 days I'm bouncing. 30 days I'm, but along between 0 days to 30 days, something
happened. Yeah.
Something happened. And I took it and I ran with it. And now I get to travel the world carrying this message to still sick and suffering brothers and sisters. What a great gig that is, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing, and God's really been opening some doors for me. Just in the last, I'll be traveling overseas to Ireland, the United Kingdom.
Good for you, man.
So
good for you.
And I'll be in 26 states in the United States this year. So
man, are you going to be in Colorado at all?
I am. I'm going to be in Colorado.
Okay, then we need to do something. I'll talk with JD and we'll do something while you're here.
Yeah, that's my boy. I love him.
I'm having him on Saturday.
Yeah. He's a wonderful
awesome
dude. He's
dude.
part of my team for a reason. He's amazing. He's an amazing
He's
guy.
a really cool dude. I love what he does here in Colorado. I'm excited to have him come on because he's another like-minded guy like you and me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the more of us that we have, the better. It'll just make it that much powerful.
And I want to shout these men out who are listening right now. When we learn to build each other up, we're not so much focused on ourselves. Okay. Yeah. And the best recovery in the world is when we're able to get out of ourselves. Okay. And be focused on, I've given many motivational speeches in my life, brother, when I was hurting inside. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And in doing that, it helped me.
Yeah.
Okay. But when we get stuck in our own current selfish ass situation, we're hurting ourselves, hurting our fellow brothers. Mm-hmm. So if you're out there struggling, brothers, speak up, reach out.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit in it. There's a way to get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me. Can I brand myself real quick before I get off here?
Absolutely. If you didn't, I'd be a little hurt.
Okay, my name is Dru Hicks, guys, and I am a national recovery advocate, and I have a group on Facebook. It's a very large recovery group called Clean and Sober, That's What's Up. And I also have a business page, Clean and Sober, That's What's Up by Dru Hicks, where I do all my live videos from. I do all my live videos from Tuesday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And I do them on the weekends at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I might very well be coming to a state near you people, whoever's listening.
Sure.
I appreciate you for having.
Yeah, and when we post this, I'll make sure that all of that is in the verbiage and stuff, so that they'll be able to get a hold of you. One of the reasons I do this is so people have more resources. So absolutely. I'm always happy to, because I don't know, somebody may be listening on the East Coast closer to you, and let's get them some help then, man.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So amen. I'm always about plugging. Excuse me. Well, thank you again for being on, man. Let's definitely plan something with you coming here. I'll hook up with JD, and you're always welcome back on if you need to come on. And if there's a reason you need to come on, you are always welcome on Trudging Together, brother.
Well, brother, I appreciate you having me on, man. And you are always welcome over here in the Clean and Sober That's What's Up family, brother. We appreciate what you're doing out there, giving back, because that's the only way it works, my friend. And,
it is.
You keep being of service, and I have high hopes for your future as well, my friend.
You too, man. I appreciate it. All right, for all my listeners, thank you, everybody, for being here. Grab that willingness, man. Willingness will carry you. I'm coming up on 6 years sober. I still use willingness every single day. Hold on to that. Give yourself a chance. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This has been Raw Recovery with Dru Hicks, hosted by Dion Miller. I love you. Peace out, and have a day.